Okay, good morning everyone and welcome to HJ Goes Live. I'm Sian, Deputy Editor at Hairdressers Journal, and today we're talking to Great Lengths and the Little Princess Trust to celebrate their partnership. I'm joined by James Henderson, owner of M Hair Salon and Great Lengths Global Little Princess Trust Ambassador, Phil Brace, Little Princess Trust Chief Executive Officer, and Wendy Tarpley Morris, Little Princess Trust co-founder and Director of Services and Impact. So welcome everyone, and thank you for joining us today. If we could start, Wendy and Phil, could you tell us why the Little Princess Trust was founded?
Of course, yes. So the Little Princess Trust was set up actually in memory of my daughter Hannah, who in 2004 she was diagnosed with childhood cancer, and very quickly after the diagnosis we found out she was starting treatment, going to be losing her hair, which we felt was going to have a big impact on her as a little girl, 4-year-old girl, loving having a different hairstyle every day, sometimes several a day. And the impact that was going to have on a child, we knew was going to be quite significant. And there was just seemed to be very little available. The voucher that was available to us at the time, it's a similar thing now, is you get a voucher that you can spend in it buys a cheaper end synthetic wig, but we felt she needed something a little bit more convincing, especially something made specifically for a child. There just wasn't anything available, really. We didn't feel, certainly not in human hair for children. We searched high and low, found something, and at that point we realized that actually there was a need for somebody to do that searching for you and to cover the cost, because they're several £100s at the time, 20 years ago, so significantly more now. So after she passed away, her school and some friends had raised some money in her memory and asked what we would like to do with it, and it seemed to us, myself and her father, like the obvious thing to want to do with the money was to buy a wig for a child, because it was something we felt that they really needed some help with. So that's what we did, and the rest, fast forward, and it's quite, you'll hear more about now. But but by the time we provided one wig, the people had heard what we had done and raised a bit more, and we provided another 2 and another 3, and so it went on. And then we started receiving hair quite soon after too, and with which you will hear a little bit more about in this chat today.
And thinking about where you are today, how many wigs has the Little Princess Trust provided to children and young people since its inception in those early days?
So Sian, I think it's probably important to understand that in that first year, the charity provided 36 wigs in its first full year. Today, the question you've asked, we've now provided over 17,000 wigs. It's fast approaching 18,000. So each year now, we're probably running at around 2,000 wigs each year is now provided to children and young people who've lost their hair due to their cancer treatment or other conditions in the UK. So that's where we're at today. So it's significant, and that actually makes us, bizarrely, this sounds like a trophy statement. It's not meant to be, because of course this is bittersweet, isn't it? We'd rather not be here at all and have to do this, but it actually makes us the largest wig charity of its type in the world. So you could argue that children, young people in the UK are lucky to have this provision available to them, because these wigs would easily cost £2,500 each. And of course, they're provided absolutely free of charge. And we keep the process as simple as possible to access them. And we want everybody who has a need for these wigs to contact us. So.
And that's amazing. I mean, did you ever imagine that it would become this big, Wendy?
No, never. No, and not even imagined, not even our wildest dreams, really. As I say, it was never something that we set out to do. It was just simply doing what we felt was the right use of that money raised in Hannah's memory. And then as it's grown, really and truly, all we've kind of intended to do was facilitate it, you know, to take the money that was raised for that purpose and, you know, to provide it to children, to provide the service to children and young people in need of the help. So never was there an intention to grow or to become anything other than just to facilitate this, you know, people wanting to support the charity or the cause and there being a need for the service. So yeah, definitely never intentional.
Wendy always tells me that she, you know, had no illusions of grandeur from the start, no idea where this would end up. But trying to put things in perspective, for the first 4 or 5 years, Wendy worked independently and voluntarily, growing the charity and helping as many children and young people as she possibly could, whilst keeping down her own job at the time. So I love the story once that you told me about while you were keeping that job down, that you were taking phone calls and having to nip off to the toilet to actually speak to somebody about a wig referral. But yeah, so the charity looks very different now to what it did in those early days.
There was a lot of good people around helping as well. There was, you know, there was the community that we live in is extremely supportive. So we had, you know, we had a really good bunch of trustees and volunteers and as well. So yeah, it was but it was a little bit of a bit Heath Robinson, I suppose, to start with. That spare time which didn't really exist. But yeah.
And Phil, you touched on it briefly before. How much does it cost to provide a wig, and has that cost changed at all in the last 20 years?
Yeah, no, it has, absolutely. So we look at a couple of things with regards to cost. I mean, obviously, you know, I touched on it earlier with regards to the actual sell value of these wigs, should they ever be needed to be bought commercially, at around £2,500. For us, the raw material which we need, of course, is hair. Wigs are made from real hair. So we have donations of hair, thousands of donations of hair, which help us to keep the cost down, the manufacturing cost down. But the actual wigs at the moment are costing us, when you look at manufacturing cost and you also look at the provision and styling of the wigs in our salons all across the UK, because children with cancer don't travel well, so we have to make sure that we're geographically, you know, well spread out across the UK. The production cost and styling cost is around £700 to the charity, and we do publicise that quite heavily because it actually helps us with regards to fundraising, because I think it makes it very, very tangible. People always want to do good. We know doing good is good. But when they can see that £700 can make a wig and can style a wig and provide a wig to a child or a young person, it makes the fundraising very, very tangible, and they tend to set that as a target figure. So it's around £700 now. That has increased. You know, those costs were a lot lower 10 years ago, 15 years ago when we started to make our own wig range. So we've seen some significant increases, and that probably the most significant increase we saw was around the COVID period. But that's when we started to make a lot of our wigs in the UK as well. So our wigs are made overseas, as most are, but we are actually making a lot of our wigs in the UK now as well.
Okay. And James, you're with us today from Great Lengths. Can you tell us what inspired you to initiate the partnership with the Little Princess Trust?
Yeah, sure. So I've been working with extensions for probably over 30 years now. Used lots of different brands over the years, but what I noticed different when I started working with Great Lengths, which was probably about 12 years ago, is the quality of the hair when I removed it from a client. So it was like nothing I'd experienced before. The quality was pretty much the same as when it goes in. And it seemed crazy to me to throw this hair in the bin. And I'd heard about the fantastic work that the charity did, and I wanted to do something to help. So I approached them with the concept of reusing the used Great Lengths hair extensions to make wigs. So they agreed to take some hair that I'd removed to make a test wig. So once they'd done that, the feedback was extremely positive, and then I went back to Great Lengths and told them about the concept. We arranged a meeting, and that's kind of really how it all started. Just to give you an idea, I mean, this is hair when it's removed, so you can see just how fantastic that is. So this is kind of how we remove the hair. and we put a tag on there with all the client info on there. This is then sent back to Great Lengths, who then get it all prepared and send it on to the charity. So this is kind of how we like to have the hair sent back.
And how did you become the Great Lengths Global Princess Trust Ambassador, and what does your role involve?
Well, this collaboration was started, well, it'll be 10 years actually next year. So 2015 we started. Initially, it was just through the network of Great Lengths salons in the UK and Ireland. But after the success of that, I decided to, my goal was always to have this on a global scale throughout the Great Lengths network all over the world. So I decided to approach Fabio, who's the owner of Great Lengths over in Italy. We had a meeting and discussed, expanding it through the network, and I'm pleased to say that we've now got Australia on board. I'm now working directly with the marketing team in Italy to bring other countries on board. So hopefully we're going to get more and more countries working with us on this.
Well, and we were showing us the hair before. Can you go a bit more into the process of donating both Great Lengths hair extensions and also clients' donations who come and brave the chop for charity? What should salons and stylists know before getting involved?
Yeah, it's very important with the removal of Great Lengths hair extensions that it's done in a correct format. So when the stylist removes the extensions, they're to be placed on a hair holder. And then once it's all removed on the hair holder, it needs bundling up together. The client will then have a tag handed to them in which they fill in their consent, their email address, and everything else. That's then sent back to Great Lengths. They will then verify that it's their hair before they send it on to the Little Princess Trust. So, we don't want hair that's kind of removed and swept up off the floor and thrown in a bag. It has to be done this way. All Great Lengths salons can contact Great Lengths directly, and they'll be sent out a pack with all the information in there. They'll have the return bags, the gift tags, everything they need to do it. So it's really straightforward. It's just a great thing to do, and it's lovely for the client as well to know that once the hair's removed, it's actually doing some good, not just being thrown in the bin. So that's kind of how we do it with the Great Lengths. I think with the donations of regular hair, Wendy and Phil probably be best to answer this one for you, because I know they have their own packs and everything that they salons can send off for as well.
I think, Sian, it's worth probably adding to what James has said there, just by saying that James has been an amazing champion in the Little Princess Trust since 2015. And it's not just the fact that in a world where we need to be considering sustainability, that this is wonderfully sustainable, that we're able to reuse the Great Lengths extensions. But James, it constantly raises awareness and profile for the charity. And as an organisation that has no fundraisers, and we're completely reliant on the word of mouth, and we're reliant on the industry to keep talking about us, whether it's extensions or whether it's haircuts, within any salon across the UK. James has been at the forefront of leading the way, really, and raising awareness. So we're very, very grateful. And the extensions themselves, because as James is saying, the hair's already been pre-prepared, we're using a lot of the extensions in the UK manufacturing process. So it's great to see that, we're able to take this hair, sort it again, and then start to use that in our manufacturing process in the UK. So wonderful things. And also, I have to say, Great Lengths as an organisation, you've touched on Fabio's support, but they really have been astonishing. And there's more than Australia are sending extensions across to us now. That it is coming worldwide. It's raising awareness of our organisation worldwide. They're very generous as a company, Great Lengths, and we have to say thank you as well. And that's fundraising and financial support. So it's a wonderful relationship, and it really does demonstrate how commerce and business can work hand in hand with charity for good. And we're very, very grateful for that.
And I guess it kind of goes without saying that is the Great Lengths ethical sourcing and quality standards.
Yeah.
How does that contribute to your decision to only accept donations and hair extensions from Great Lengths?
Yeah.
Okay, I was going yes, I was going to say that that's really important, actually, the quality and the condition of the hair that we receive, because we make wigs, you know, and the reason our wigs are so valuable and have such a high value, if they were, you know, for a commercial equivalent of this quality, is because, you know, hair that's donated from a head, you know, we don't then re-dye that hair, or it's minimally dyed, if, you know, if only if it avoids waste. So because we don't want the hair to look over processed and too heavily processed, because it's going on children, you know, and that doesn't it doesn't look natural on a child. So it's really important that the hair is of really high quality, is minimally processed. But as with the hair that's donated to us, we know that is 100% ethical. You know, it's been gifted to us from willing people, you know, who are cutting the hair, whether they're fundraising with it and they're giving to a charity. So it's really important that to know that the Great Lengths extensions come with that guarantee of being ethically sourced.
Yeah.
So that is critical, actually. So to be in line with all of our donated hair, it's really important that it's ethical and it's high quality hair.
And can you believe it's the 2nd of September already? It is Childhood Cancer Awareness Month, a very important month for the charity. What initiatives or activities are planned to highlight the importance of this cause?
Oh, well, shall I? Is that probably a good time to say as well, being Childhood Cancer Awareness Month, clearly it's a really important month to us. It also gives us an opportunity to talk about, obviously, the people tend to know and talk about the charity for the hair and wigs that we provide, but we're actually also a significant funder of childhood cancer research. So Childhood Cancer Awareness Month is really important for us to be able to talk about both elements of the charity, both at what we refer to as Hair and Hope, which is the hair through our wig provision service. It's the instant help when a child's on treatment, and then what we refer to as hope, it being through our research funding, we like to think is giving some hope for the future. So it's really important for us to help to sort of shine a light on our activities, both in research and in wig provision, and just to raise the awareness of childhood cancer, which is seen as a rare disease, but actually affects, in our age group up to the age of 24, it's over 4,000 children every year. And it's drastically underfunded. So this is a really good opportunity to sort of raise the profile and to talk about it, and maybe help educate people on childhood cancer.
Yeah, and unfortunately, it's the biggest killer of children under the age of 15.
Disease, yeah.
So yeah, you asked the question, what activities have we got planned?
Yeah.
So I mean, I suppose the call to action is please follow us on social media, on any of the channels, TikTok, any of the channels at all. There is loads and loads of activity planned, and we're linking up with all the other children's childhood cancer research charities as well, doing lots of stuff together, just raising profile, just making sure people are aware. And that helps us really frame the rest of the year, because it's their fundraising, it's their support, it's their hair donations that they give into the Little Princess Trust that not only helps us provide these wonderful wigs, but also fund research. And the Little Princess Trust is now one of the most significant funders of childhood cancer research in the UK. So, and again, the industry has got so much to do with helping us to get to where we are today, and so much for the future as well. And again, we're always gratuitous and always eternally grateful for the support we get from the sector.
Yeah, absolutely. Can't emphasize that enough, can we,
No,
really? Wouldn't be, the charity wouldn't be here had it not been for the hair industry as a whole. So yeah, incredibly grateful.
That's lovely to hear. And if salons and individuals do want to support beyond donating hair, how can they get involved with you guys?
Well, we always say just head to the website. But we're so active and we're so grateful for any support we get. So we'll engage with anybody, conversations. We still pick up the phone and we talk to people. And I think that's really important. So we're always here to talk to you. But yeah, go online. There's so much you can do, especially for salons. We have the hairdressing Hairo pack, and that's full of stuff for any salon There's window stickers, there's mirror grabs, little hearts, there's information in there on what you can do to support us. And there are various other packs available online as well, standard fundraising packs, Funky Hair Fun Days. So there's loads the industry can do to support us. And come and see us at Salon International. So we're there, we've got a big stand, we're going to be making wigs on the stand. Wendy and I are going to be there. We'd love to meet anybody who wants to chat about what they can do to help us and support us. And we try and make it good fun.
Yeah, and see some of the things, actually to be able to showcase some of our wigs that you know that the hair industry may have contributed to creating, you know, been cutting hair. So it's really nice to actually be able to show our wigs and what we actually do with it. So with that hair once it arrives with us. So yeah, please come visit.
Great. Well, Wendy, Phil and James, thank you so much for joining us on HJ Goes Live today. And thank you again to Great Lengths for sponsoring this session. If anybody wants to find out more, as you guys said, head to littleprincesses.org. You can request a salon pack there. And as Phil said, you can also see them at Salon International 2025. So thank you so much, everyone, and speak to you soon. Bye.
Thank you, John.
Bye-bye.
Thanks very much.
Thank
Bye
you.
now.